My younger sister stayed up all night writing fanfiction about me and my best friend. The level of detail was so disturbingly accurate, it sent chills down my spine. I cursed her while reading, and ended up reading myself into a sexual awakening. Now that best friend of mine? He's my boyfriend. Dear little sister, truly, your brother owes you one. Welcome to He History channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. Lillian Smithson had been acting strange lately. For over a week, her bedroom light stayed on deep into the night. I'd hear the soft rustling of pen on paper and, every so often, an eerie, stifled giggle that sent a chill down my spine. As her older brother, raised to be responsible and look after my baby sister, I naturally assumed she was burning the midnight oil cramming for tests. Worried she'd starve, I decided to bring her something warm. One night, I crept to her room with a steaming bowl of spaghetti in hand. I gently pushed open the door and whispered, "Lillian, I made you some, what the foo?" The rest of the sentence never made it out. My grip on the bowl slipped so hard it nearly crashed onto my foot. She wasn't doing homework at all. Under the glow of the desk lamp, she sat hunched over, cheeks flushed a bizarre red, eyes wide and sparkling like she just discovered the meaning of life. Her pen flew across a thick, overly decorated notebook, and her lips moved in quiet, fervent recitation. Henry Herbert gently tilted Pauline Smithson's chin up, his fingers burning with restrained heat. His eyes, deep and dark, brimmed with an emotion too intense to name. He whispered, "Paul, stop hiding from me." Pauline Smithson? Henry Herbert? Those were my name, and my best friends. Lillian Smithson. I roared, shaking the house to its foundations. She flinched violently, her pen flying across the room. In a panic, she tried to slam the notebook shut, but I had already stormed across the room and grabbed both her and the cursed diary in one swift motion. "Bro, let me explain," she squeaked, her face ghost white. "Explain what?" I was seething. "I thought you'd turned over a new leaf," I growled, "burning the midnight oil to chase your dreams. But no, you've been up every night writing this. Me and Henry Herbert. What kind of deranged fantasy world do you live in?" I yanked the notebook from her arms and flipped it open. The words, skin contact, lingering gazes, and thick with tension, practically leapt off the pages and smacked me in the face. That's it. Confiscated. Eat the spaghetti. And go to sleep. Now. I slammed the bowl onto her desk and stormed out, forbidden manuscript in hand. Back in my room, I was fuming. My chest felt tight. Me and Henry Herbert? What a sick joke. We were brothers straight up, no nonsense, eat in the cafeteria, play ball together, copy each other's notes bros. There was no romantic tension. None. But, just to confirm how ridiculous this whole thing was, I opened the notebook again. For educational purposes, of course. X month X day, clear skies. Today, while playing basketball, my brother twisted his ankle. Henry ran to him like his life depended on it. That look in his eyes, so worried, so tender. No way that was just friendly concern. He even insisted on checking the injury himself. My brother's ears turned red. My God, this is peak childhood friend romance. "'Kay, that did happen," I admitted silently. But Henry was just thoughtful like that. He'd help anyone. Right? X month X day. 3. It was pouring today, and Henry and my brother shared an umbrella. But Henry tilted it almost entirely over to Paul's side, letting himself get soaked. He kept sneaking glances at Paul's profile, and his eyes were so soft, it made my heart ache. He's so obviously in love. My dumb brother didn't even notice. Infuriating. "That too," I muttered. Though Henry's taller. It made sense he'd hold the umbrella like that, right? The glances? Just Lillian's overactive imagination. X month X day, overcast. Yesterday, my brother casually mentioned craving a burger from that famous downtown joint. Today, Henry happened to swing by with one. Who just casually crosses half the city for a burger. He even remembered Paul doesn't eat onions. He always picks them out of cafeteria food too. These little acts of care. I'm losing my mind. Henry Herbert, stop being so in love. My hands began to tremble. How the hell did she even know about the onion thing? Henry always did help me pick them out. I thought he was just picky about food aesthetics or something. I read on, heart racing. The more I read, the more I noticed just how real these moments sounded. Moments I'd brushed off, casual gestures, shared silences, warm drinks offered right when I needed them, suddenly took on new, sharper meanings when written in her fevered, fanatical prose. Henry bringing me water at the perfect temperature. Henry draping his jacket over me during naps in the library. Henry remembering every food preference I had without me ever saying it twice. Henry's gaze, which, now that I thought about it, maybe was a bit softer when it rested on me. I slammed the notebook shut. Stop. Pauline Smithson, pull it together. My heart thudded against my ribs. My ears burned. No way. Absolutely not. Henry Herbert, the refined, gentlemanly, always composed campus god of a university, there was no way he had a thing for me. Right? I was a red-blooded, straight-as-an-arrow man. No question about it. The next morning, when I saw Henry Herbert again at school, it felt like I'd stepped into some alternate universe. He was standing at the school gate, waiting for me as usual. Morning light filtered through the leaves above, casting a warm, golden glow over him. He stood tall, composed, his presence so clean and effortless it turned more than a few heads as girls walked past. When his eyes caught mine, his lips curved into a soft, natural smile. You're awake? Didn't sleep well last night? His gaze flicked to the dark circles under my eyes, and the concern in his voice was maddeningly casual. There it was again. He noticed. Why did he care about my sleep? Since when did normal guy friends track your bedtime status? Alarms went off in my brain like a 5-alarm fire. I'm fine, I mumbled, avoiding his eyes like they held some dangerous secret I wasn't ready to confront. Here. He handed me a familiar combo, milk and bread from my favorite shop. Eat it while it's still warm. I reached for the bag, and our fingers brushed for a split second. Electricity shot through my skin, and I instinctively jerked my hand back. He raised an eyebrow, puzzled. What's wrong? Nothing. Just hot. I sputtered, diving into the milk like it was my last lifeline. My heart thundered in my chest. He chuckled, low and velvety, like a feather brushing over my ribs. Slow down. No one's taking it from you. This was bad. Really bad. Why did he laugh like that? And why was it so gentle? No straight guy smiles at another guy like that, right? The whole way to class, I couldn't stop fidgeting. Henry, as usual, walked on the outside of the path, between me and the road. Whenever he turned to listen to me speak, he leaned in just slightly, his full attention on me like I was the only person who mattered in the world. I gestured too wildly mid-rant and nearly crashed into a barrier. He reached out and gently tugged me back. The warmth of his palm burned through my sleeve like fire. Paul, watch where you're going, he said, tone indulgent, with just a hint of exasperated fondness. As he let go, his fingers grazed my wrist lightly. I froze. A vivid scene from that godforsaken notebook flashed across my mind. Henry Herbert's fingers brushed across Pauline Smithson's hand, sending a ripple of shivers down his spine. Shit. I practically leapt a foot back, like I'd been stepped on. What the hell are you doing? Henry blinked, startled. His always gentle eyes held a flicker of confusion. Pulling you back before you walked into a pole? His expression was so neutral, so normal, that it made me look like the crazy one. Some classmates turned to stare. I could have dug a hole with my toes right there. Alright, thanks, I muttered, scratching my nose awkwardly. I sidled back to his side, heart pounding like a drumline. Calm down, Pauline Smithson. I screamed internally. Be straight. You're straight. Don't let Lillian's stupid fanfiction melt your brain. But his hand had felt really gentle, hadn't it? And his eyes had looked a bit too focused? I didn't hear a single word during the entire lecture. Sitting next to Henry, I was a tightly wound mess of nerves. He must have noticed how absent-minded I was. More than once, I caught him glancing at me. Eventually, he nudged his notebook my way, his neat handwriting facing me. Which part didn't you get? His voice was low, barely above a whisper, and the breath of it brushed my ear like a warm breeze. My ears turned scarlet. And nowhere. I got it all, I stammered, clearly lying. He studied me for a second but didn't push. Instead, in the corner of the notebook page, he quietly drew a tiny question mark. That tiny curve hung there on the page like a hook, and it had me caught deep in its net. When class ended, I tried to bolt, but he caught my wrist before I could flee. Wait. He pulled a familiar thermos from his bag. You didn't finish your milk earlier. Your lips look dry. Drink some water. I stared at the thermos in his hand. It was the one with the tiny sun logo on it, the one I gave him in our final year of high school for his birthday. He'd kept it all this time. I took it dazed. Unscrewed the lid. The water was the perfect temperature, just the way I liked it. He watched me take 2 sips before smiling. What do you want for dinner? The second cafeteria just opened a new grill station. I heard the roasted fish is good. He remembered I liked fish. I looked at him, at the warm smile playing at the corners of his lips, the calm and tender light in his eyes, and my heart gave a traitorous, bone-deep thump. I was doomed. Pauline Smithson, you're not okay. Something's wrong. Seriously wrong. That terrifying thought had returned, slinking its way through my brain, sweet and seductive. Henry Herbert. Could it be? He actually has a crush on me? Ever since that cursed idea took root in my head, my view of Henry Herbert had been completely distorted. Where I once saw gentlemanly grace and brotherly affection, now I saw smoldering glances and ulterior motives. What used to feel like kindness now screamed of secret yearning. I, Pauline Smithson, with 20 years of ironclad heterosexual masculinity under my belt, was facing my greatest crisis to date. I was starting to question my own damn orientation. And it was all because of that god-awful, CP-fueled diary of Lillian Smithson. Paul, what are you daydreaming about? Henry's hand waved gently in front of my face, carrying the faint, clean scent of laundry detergent. The ball's coming. Snapped out of my daze, I reached for the basketball, only to miss and smack a teammate square across the face. Oh, Pauline Smithson, are you trying to kill me? Sorry. So sorry. I panicked, face flaming. Henry chuckled softly and stepped over, casually brushing the damp strands of hair off my forehead. You okay? You've been out of it all day. His fingertips were cool against my skin, but they lit a fire beneath it. I flinched away like I'd been shocked. Oh, I'm fine. It's hot. Just really hot. His hand froze midair. A flicker of surprise, maybe disappointment, flashed across his eyes. He retracted his hand without comment, voice still gentle. Then take a break. I'll go grab some water. As I watched his tall figure walk toward the campus shop, I pinched my thigh hard. Pauline Smithson, what is wrong with you? Why'd you recoil like that? He was just being nice. Now you look guilty as hell. But that look in his eyes just now, was that disappointment? Did he think I was avoiding him? Did he think I didn't like him anymore? My brain spiraled in every direction. Part of me screamed I was overthinking, hurting my bro's feelings. But the other part whispered. His gesture had felt a little too intimate, hadn't it? Here, Henry returned, holding out a bottle of Coke. Your favorite. He smiled, warm as always. That brief flicker of something earlier, gone without a trace. Had I imagined it? Thanks. I took the bottle. It was ice cold, but my palm was already slick with sweat. He opened his own drink and took a few sips. The way his throat moved as he swallowed, the bob of his Adam's apple, the way the sunlight hit his jawline and made the sweat trail down toward his collar. I swallowed hard, suddenly parched for all the wrong reasons. A line from Lillian's notebook flashed uninvited into my mind. Henry Herbert drinking water looked sinfully good. Pauline Smithson stared, heart skipping a beat. F***CK. I yanked my gaze away, cheeks burning, heart pounding like a damn kettle drum. This was getting worse. Everything he did was now coated in a thick layer of rose-colored delusion. There was no surviving this. I had to know if I was losing my mind. That night, during study hall, I decided to test him. I, accidentally, dropped my pen next to his foot. Henry, pick that up for me, would ya? I tried to sound casual. A little obnoxious, even. Like a lazy dude bossing his buddy around. According to straight guy protocol, he should have called me useless or kicked the pen back over. Instead, Henry just blinked once, then bent down without hesitation. He picked up the pen, wiped off the imaginary dust with a tissue, and handed it to me with a smile. Be careful, he said, eyes as soft as spring water. This wasn't normal. I pressed on, undeterred. Henry, this question's killing me. Can you walk me through it? I leaned straight, practically shoulder to shoulder. If he was straight, he'd be annoyed. Maybe shove me away. Tell me to back off because it was hot. But Henry just glanced at the problem, then at me, his eyes flicking down to the tiny gap between us. I swear his ears tinted just a little red. And instead of pulling away, he leaned closer. He picked up his pen and began to explain, voice low and steady, the sound brushing warm and gentle past my ear. Did that make sense? He paused after explaining each step, waiting with those focused eyes, always giving me space to respond. All I could register was the soft scent on him, clean and subtle, and the impossible closeness of his lashes, long and dark, just barely catching the light. His voice was patient and gentle, brushing against my eardrum like velvet. Understand? Hell no. My brain was nothing but a fireworks show going off on loop. She? You get it? He asked again, brows raised slightly. Why ya? Got it. I shot upright like I'd been electrocuted, putting some much-needed distance between us. My cheeks were hot enough to fry an egg. Crystal clear. Thanks, Mr. Herbert. That was an excellent explanation. Henry looked at my flushed face and my wildly evasive eyes and chuckled softly. He didn't press further. Instead, his hand lifted and ruffled my hair like it was the most natural thing in the world. But that's what matters. He ruffled my hair. He ruffled my hair. This was not a bro move. This was a boundary violation of the most suspicious kind. I froze in place. My heart nearly catapulted out of my throat. Henry Herbert loved running his fingers through Pauline Smithson's hair. It felt soft, like petting a well-behaved retriever. That damn notebook. Haunting me like a cursed spirit. Back in the dorm that night, I lay flat on my back, eyes locked on the ceiling, mentally dragging myself to trial. Get a grip, Pauline Smithson. That was Henry Herbert. The guy you grew up with. The guy who climbed fences with you to skip class, who mocked your basketball skills, who tried, and failed, to help you chase girls. There was no way he liked you like that. You were overthinking it. Victim to Lillian Smithson's fanfiction-induced psychosis. But the way he picked onions out of your food. The way he always remembered to bring your breakfast. The way he tilted the umbrella just so. The way he leaned close, explaining problems so gently and earnestly. The way he smiled when he ruffled your hair. Those moments looped on a highlight reel in my head. My pulse spiked again. My face burned. I yanked the blanket over my head and groaned into the void. I think I'm actually turning. Days passed. And after constant internal battles and an emotional roller coaster ride straight to hell, I had to admit something horrifying. I, Pauline Smithson, had gone too far down the path of self-inflicted seduction. Now, every time I saw Henry, I found myself subconsciously adjusting my hair. Just hearing his voice made my heartbeat trip. If we so much as brushed hands, it was like an electrical shock, and then I'd go off reliving the moment like some sick pervert. I even started watching him. Secretly. Studying how he acted around others. And I realized, Henry did keep his distance with everyone else. Polite, warm, but detached. Only with me did he cross lines. Casually. Constantly. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. It was obvious. Wasn't it? I was spinning in the whirlwind of, he definitely likes me, versus, you are still straight, damn it, when something, or someone, threw a wrench into the whole damn equation. Amy Lambert. The department flower. And she had started openly pursuing Henry Herbert. It started with a harmless accident. She tripped on the stairs, arms full of documents. Henry, who happened to be behind her, caught her and helped pick everything up. Innocent. Trivial. But the next day, in our usual cafeteria, she approached us, with me right there, and handed Henry a neatly packaged fruit juice, blushing furiously. "Henry, thank you so much for yesterday. Please, take this." Her voice was sweet as syrup, and her eyes practically heart-shaped. Henry blinked, caught off guard, but kept his usual calm smile. "It was nothing. You don't have to thank me." He didn't take the juice right away. I watched it all, and something inside me twisted unpleasantly. Like watching someone try to touch something I'd kept locked away and labeled mine. It was sour. Tight in my chest. "Come on, Henry. Just take it." My voice rang out suddenly, too loud, too fake. Even I wanted to slap myself. She's the campus belle after all. It's the least you could do, right, Junior? Amy's face turned redder, but she nodded shyly. Henry frowned slightly. He looked at me, his expression unreadable, but eventually reached out and took the drink. "Thanks," he said quietly. Amy beamed and practically skipped away. I stared at the juice in his hand like it had personally insulted me. It looked smug. From then on, Amy Lambert went into full courtship mode. Water bottles. Snacks. Study invites. Random academic questions. Her excuses were endless, her enthusiasm relentless. Henry remained as polite and distant as ever, but even his cool indifference couldn't completely block the daily barrage. I was spiraling. Completely and utterly unhinged. Whenever Amy Lambert handed Henry Herbert a bottle of water, I'd bolt over like my life depended on it, shove my half-finished Coke into his hands, and declare, way too loudly, "Drink mine. I can't finish it." Whenever she invited him to study together, I'd latch onto his arm and wail, "Henry, I don't get this question. You have to teach me. Right now." Immediately. If I caught her smiling at him, I'd dive between them, paste on the biggest, most obnoxious grin I could muster, and start rambling nonsense just to interrupt. It was immature. Petty. Like a grade schooler fighting for attention on the playground. Even I couldn't stand myself. But I couldn't help it. Every time Amy Lambert got within 3 feet of Henry, an alarm went off in my head, and jealousy started bubbling in my stomach like boiling vinegar. One night, in a moment of pure self-torment, I even dug out that cursed diary of Lillian Smithson's again. I flipped through the pages until I found a scene where Henry Herbert got jealous, and reread it over and over, as if it might offer me some kind of twisted comfort. My dorm mate noticed something was off. "Shiji, what's up with you lately?" he asked. "You look like you're dying. Did someone dump you?" Face down on my desk, I groaned weakly, "Worse than a breakup? Who was it?" "Some girl you like got snatched up by Henry Herbert." My head snapped up. "Bullshit. He wouldn't dare." "What?" He blinked at me in confusion. Realizing what I just shouted, I wilted and slumped back over the desk in despair. It was over. Pauline Smithson. You weren't just not straight anymore. You'd turned into the most sour, vinegar-soaked jealous freak on the planet. And then it happened. That afternoon, I saw it with my own eyes. Amy Lambert standing at the entrance of the academic building, cheeks flushed, 2 movie tickets clutched tightly in her hand. "Henry," she said softly, "are you free this weekend? A new movie just came out. I heard it's really good." The sun was shining, and the 2 of them standing there, pretty girl, handsome guy, looked so picture-perfect it made me want to punch a wall. I couldn't hear what Henry said, but Amy's smile got brighter. Too bright. And something inside me just snapped. The second she walked away, I stormed over, grabbed Henry by the wrist, and dragged him into the nearest empty stairwell without even thinking. "Henry Herbert." He stared at me stunned. "Paul? What's going on?" The words caught in my throat. What was I supposed to say? "Are you going to the movies with her?" With what right? As his bro? A bro doesn't get to police movie dates. My face was burning, chest rising and falling in short bursts. I looked at him, his confused, gorgeous, innocent face, and thought about every moment from the last 2 months. The hesitation, the racing heart, the jealousy, the ache. It all exploded out of me. "I forbid you to go to the movies with her," I yelled, voice cracking. And I think I like you." Silence. The stairwell fell into dead, echoing stillness. Only my ragged breathing and thunderous heartbeat filled the space between us. The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted everything. Shame slammed into me like a truck, dragging panic behind it. I couldn't open my eyes. Couldn't move. I stood frozen, like a criminal awaiting judgment. Shit. What had I done? What if he was disgusted? What if he never wanted to see me again? Would I lose him completely? Not just the maybe might be love, but the brotherhood too? Seconds crawled by like hours. No reaction. No gasp. No disgusted shove. No sound at all. Was he paralyzed with shock? Was he mentally crafting a polite rejection to preserve whatever bro thing we still had? My heart dropped lower with every passing second. My throat tightened. I was about to blurt out, "I'm kidding," and make a run for it, when a cool hand gently cupped my cheek. His fingers trembled slightly, but his touch was impossibly soft. I jolted and opened my eyes, and found myself staring into his. Henry Herbert was looking down at me, those soft, always smiling eyes now filled with something else entirely. Emotion. Intense, unfiltered emotion. Shock, joy, disbelief, and something even deeper, almost too much to hold inside. He didn't look grossed out. He didn't look angry. He looked relieved. "Paul," he said, voice hoarse and tight, like he was struggling to hold back everything at once. "What did you just say? Say it again." His eyes burned into me like fire. His hands held me like I might disappear if he let go. I couldn't think. Couldn't breathe. I just stammered out, barely above a whisper. "I said I like you, and I don't want you going to the movies with her." Before I even finished my sentence, Henry Herbert sucked in a sharp breath. And in the next moment, I was yanked forward, swallowed into the warmth of his arms. He held me so tightly, so fiercely, like he wanted to crush me into his chest, fuse me into his bones, never let me go again. My face was buried in the crook of his neck, where I could feel the thunder of his heartbeat, and the faint tremble in his body. "Is it true?" His voice was muffled against my shoulder, choked with disbelief. "Oh, is this real? You're not messing with me, right? Not some stupid dare." I could barely breathe from how hard he was holding me, but the massive weight in my chest suddenly vanished, and in its place came a wave of dizzying relief, bittersweet and overwhelming. "It's true. It's real." My nose stung. I almost cried. I hugged him back just as tightly. Who would joke about something like this? His body stiffened for a second, then he crushed me tighter into him. We stayed like that in the stairwell for a long time, two idiots clinging to each other like we were the last safe thing in the world. Eventually, Henry loosened his hold, just a little, but kept both hands locked on my arms, like he still couldn't quite believe I was real. His eyes were slightly red, but his face was lit with this radiant joy, so open, so relieved, it made it hard to look away. "I can't believe it," he murmured, pressing his forehead gently against mine, our breath mingling in the narrow space between us. She, do you know how long I've been waiting to hear those words from you?" I blinked. Waited. Henry drew in a deep breath, like he was bracing for something. His gaze locked onto mine, steady, soft, but uncertain around the edges. "Paul," he said, voice low and sincere, "there's something I've been hiding from you." My heart skipped. "What is it?" He rubbed my arm lightly, like he was grounding himself, giving me strength, or maybe borrowing it. "I've liked you, for a long time." My eyes went wide. "What?" Henry gave me a wry little smile, full of affection and bittersweet regret. He took my hand, guiding it to his chest, over his pounding heart, hot beneath my palm. I realized how I felt a long time ago. "But I thought you were straight. I was afraid if I told you, I'd scare you away. That I'd lose even our friendship. So I kept it to myself, and just tried to take care of you however I could." He smiled softly, nostalgia shining in his eyes. "I remembered you hated onions because the way you picked them out one by one was weirdly adorable. I brought you breakfast every day because I wanted to be the first person you saw. I always offered you my umbrella, Just to be a little closer to you. I explained your homework because I liked watching you focus on me. And your hair. He chuckled, eyes crinkling with fondness. I really do like the way it feels. And you always look so dazed and cute when I ruffle it. He listed them off, one by one, every tiny act of care I'd brushed off, every moment I'd overlooked. I stood there stunned, my heart soaking in his words like warm honey, soft, sweet, and just a little aching. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I half laughed, half cried, punching his chest lightly. I tortured myself over this for weeks. I nearly went insane. Henry caught my hand, curling his fingers around mine like he was afraid I'd disappear again. I was scared, he said, his voice quiet, eyes shining with guilt and something like awe. Scared that you'd hate me, that you'd pull away. All I could do was wait for some tiny sign. Or hope you'd realize. He paused. And then his expression shifted, light bursting behind his eyes, as if he couldn't quite believe his own luck. But I never thought the universe would be so kind to me. Paul. He cupped my face with trembling fingers, brushing the corner of my eye. Thank you for choosing me. I looked into his eyes, brimming with starlight and emotion and me. All of me. Every stupid, jealous, confused bit of me. Everything I'd feared, every knot of anxiety and longing, melted away in that moment, replaced with joy so deep I thought I might drown in it. I liked him. He liked me. We liked each other. My grin broke free on its own, giddy and foolish, and then, suddenly, tears came. You idiot, I muttered, wiping my face. We're both idiots. Henry laughed and kissed the tears away, his lips brushing so gently, so reverently. Yeah. I'm your idiot, he murmured. Then, slowly, hesitantly, he leaned in. His breath ghosted over my lips. Can this idiot kiss you, Paul? My face flamed, my heart beat so hard I thought it might burst. Part of me wanted to hide. But the other part? I closed my eyes, nodded. Yes. And then he kissed me, soft, burning, breathless. A kiss that held all the tenderness, all the waiting, all the love. Outside, sunlight spilled through the windows, casting our shadows long and golden. Two boys kissing in the light, wrapped in something warm and whole. One weekend, we were curled up on my living room couch watching a movie. Out of nowhere, I remembered the root of all this chaos. I leapt up and pulled out Lillian Smithson's diary from the bottom of my nightstand, waving it proudly in front of Henry's face. Confess right now. Did you pay my sister to spy on us or something? How else could she have written everything so accurately? Henry burst out laughing, dragging me back into his arms. He tucked me under his chin and sighed dramatically. I swear I didn't, he said, voice innocent and smug all at once. Maybe Lillian just has a keen eye for the truth? So I'm the only blind idiot here? But... He took the diary from my hands, casually flipped through a few pages, and his eyes darkened slightly. His tone turned low, with an edge that made my skin prickle. Some of the details in here aren't quite accurate. Like what? I asked, heart skipping. He leaned in and whispered something in my ear. My face went bright red. I snatched the notebook back, slammed it under my butt, and sat on it like it was a landmine. Why, you're not allowed to read it anymore. No thinking weird thoughts. Definitely no trying anything. Henry Herbert raised an eyebrow, smiling like a cat who just knocked the goldfish bowl over. Oh, then tell me, Mr. Smithson, when will practice be allowed? Get out of here. Extra. Henry Herbert's long secret crush. The first time I met Pauline Smithson was the summer I turned 6, in the back of a moving truck. The asphalt outside shimmered in the heat. I glanced out the window and saw a boy in a tank top and shorts, crouched under the shade of a tree near the house next door, but up in the air as he dug into the dirt with intense focus. He was absolutely filthy, like a stray puppy that had rolled through every mud puddle in town. He must have felt my stare because he looked up. His face was smeared with sweat and dust, but his eyes were impossibly bright. Like the night sky in midsummer, studded with stars. He tilted his head curiously at our truck, then grinned, wide and gap-toothed, and waved enthusiastically with a hand covered in dirt. Somehow, in that instant, the stifling air inside the moving van felt a little lighter. Mom led me down to greet the neighbors. I trailed behind her shyly, clutching my brand new toy car, the one Dad had given me as a moving gift. "This is little Pauline Smithson," Mom said, smiling. "He's 2 months younger than you." Mrs. Smithson gave her muddy kid a gentle push. "Paul, this is Henry. He's your big brother now, okay?" Pauline showed no fear. He ran over, eyes glued to my toy car, and chirped, "Henry, play." Instinctively, I hid the car behind my back. He blinked, looking from me to the car, a flicker of disappointment flashing across his face. But then, as if nothing happened, he beamed again. He ran back to the tree, grabbed something, and returned with a grimy glass jar. Inside were a few chirping cicadas and bright green leaves. "For you," he said proudly, holding it out with both hands. Sweat trickled down his temple. "Play together." The light in his eyes was too bright, too earnest, like it could set fire to anything it touched. I don't know what came over me, but I let go of the toy car and reached out for the jar instead. From that moment on, my world had a new son. A loud, wild, impossible to ignore son named Pauline Smithson. We grew up together. Same elementary school, same middle school, same high school. Pauline was always bursting with energy. Like he had a motor built into him. Climbing trees, poking birds' nests, catching fish with his bare hands, starting fights. He was involved in every kind of chaos imaginable. I was quieter, more bookish, always following behind him, cleaning up his messes, or waiting below the tree with open arms when he nearly fell. Whenever trouble hit, he'd turn those wide, innocent eyes on me and say, "Henry Gidge, help me." Every time I told myself to stand firm. Every time I gave in. Writing his apology letters. Helping him with homework. Sneaking him snacks when he was punished. Being the first to carry him to the nurse when he twisted his ankle playing ball. Taking care of him became instinct. Like breathing. But at some point, something else crept in. I think it started during senior year military training, when I saw him sunburned and peeling. I gave him my mung bean soup. Watched him gulp it down, Adam's apple moving with every swallow. And my heart stuttered out of rhythm. Or maybe it was that late night after study hall, when he hooked his arm around my shoulder, rambling about basketball and gaming. Under the yellow glow of the streetlight, with his lopsided grin and soft jawline, all I wanted was to lean in and kiss him. The thought startled me so badly, I shoved him away and ran. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the glowing window of his room across from mine, and my heart was burning and freezing at the same time. Shit. Henry Herbert. You're in love with your best friend. Once I knew, every day became a delicate kind of torture. I hid it. Buried it so deep I forgot how to breathe. I stayed the same Henry Herbert, polite, top of the class, always reliable. His best friend. His most trusted brother. But I'd stare at his sleeping head on the desk, sunlight pooling in his hair, and forget what time was. I remembered every food he liked. Took care of him like it was second nature. Froze up when he slung his arm around my neck, got too close, but never pulled away. When he joked and laughed with others, something sharp twisted in my gut. But I smiled anyway. I never crossed the line. I couldn't. I was scared. Scared that if he knew, he'd pull away. Scared he'd never look at me the same. Scared I'd lose even the brotherhood we had. This crush, no, this love, grew like a vine in darkness, tangled around my heart. And every touch, every smile, every word from him made it bloom and ache. All I could do was love him more. Hide it better. Camouflage it as best friend care. When we both got accepted into the same university, I exhaled in relief. And then inhaled with dread. Because it meant I could stay by his side. But it also meant I'd have to watch him step into a bigger world. And maybe fall in love with someone who wasn't me. In college, Pauline Smithson was still as dazzling as ever. Bright, warm, loud, in the way only he could be. He lit up every room he walked into, drawing attention like gravity itself. Boys noticed him. Girls noticed him. Everyone noticed him. And every time someone tried to get closer to him, it was like a slow, painful death for me. But all I could do was stand by and smile. Pretend none of it got under my skin. Until one day Lillian Smithson, his mischievous little sister, slipped me a beautiful notebook with a sly glint in her eyes. "Henry," she said, voice sing-songy, "tell me how my writing is?" Curious, I flipped it open. A few pages in, I froze. It was filled with stories. About me and Pauline. About us, told with such vivid, frightening accuracy it made my skin crawl. Some of it read like fantasy. Some of it read like secrets I'd never told a soul. Some of it were things I'd only ever dared to dream in the dead of night. "This is insane," I muttered, slamming the book shut. My hands were shaking. My heart thundered in my chest. Lillian just giggled. "Come on, Henry. I've known for ages. The way you look at my brother? Please. But he's so dense, he'll never get it on his own. So, we give him a little push. Don't worry. He'll bite." And against all reason, I agreed. Like a gambler who knew the odds were against him, but bet everything on a miracle anyway. It worked. Paul started acting different. Skittish. Flushed. His eyes would dart away whenever I got too close. And sometimes, when he thought I wasn't looking, he watched me. And when I caught him watching, he panicked and looked away. My heart swelled with cautious hope and fear. Hope that he was finally seeing me. Fear that he thought I was strange. Too much. Not the Henry he'd always trusted. I kept it together. Kept pretending I knew nothing. But I couldn't stop myself from testing him. Just a little. Every reaction he had, every blush, every startled breath, sent joy rushing through my veins. And guilt gnawing at my chest. Because I'd cheated. Because I'd plotted. Because this wasn't how love was supposed to happen. And then came Amy Lambert. Her sudden interest in me caught me completely off guard. But more than that, it revealed something I never expected. Paul was jealous. Horribly, adorably jealous. In the clumsiest, most ridiculous ways. His possessiveness wasn't subtle. It was loud, blatant, childish. And it lit up the dark corners of my heart like sunlight breaking through after years of storm. I kept turning Amy down, always polite, always distant. But I reveled in Paul's every sulk, every glare, every awkward attempt to interrupt. I know it was terrible, but I couldn't help myself. And then, he snapped. He dragged me into an empty stairwell, eyes red, voice trembling, and shouted, "I like you." And in that moment, the world stopped. No more noise. No more fear. Just the sound of my heartbeat and the fire in his eyes. Everything I had waited for, every sleepless night, every second of restraint, every quiet ache. It all came crashing down into that one single moment. I held him like I'd never let go again. My sun, finally, shining just for me. Being with him felt like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. I could hold his hand, kiss his lips, pull him into my arms and say to the world, "He's mine." Paul was still loud, clingy, a little reckless. Maybe even clingier than before. He whined more, pouted more, needed more kisses. But if I cooed at him just right, he'd curl up like a cat, all purrs and smug grins. On weekend mornings, sunlight streamed through the curtains. I'd wake to find him curled into me, face smushed against my arm, lips parted, cheeks soft and unguarded in sleep. I'd melt every time. I couldn't help leaning in to press a kiss to his forehead. He'd hum sleepily, burrow deeper into my chest, and go right back to sleep. And I'd laugh. Soft and full. I'd remember the summer day I first saw him, muddy, messy, grinning wide as he shoved a jar of cicadas into my hands. The boy who crashed into my life like a wild spark. And lit up every corner of it. "What's so funny?" His voice was sleepy, slurred, muffled against my chest. "I was just thinking." I tightened my arms around him, pressing my chin to his head. "You bribed me with cicadas when we were kids. And now you've gone and given me yourself." He froze. Then his ears turned scarlet. He smacked my chest, flustered. "You gave yourself to me. You were the one pining for years, scheming all over the place." "True." I nodded solemnly. and kissed him again. I pined. I schemed. I waited. So thank you. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for walking toward me. Thank you for being mine. My son. The end.